here I am with my Friday the 13th podcast. A little slow on the uptake this week. It's been wild with the Super Bowl here in the Bay Area. I was down in the Bay checking out, what it's going to look like for the World Cup, and had quite a few different meetings, opportunities over the course of the week. Most importantly, one of the things that was the most fun, went to Cal State East Bay and talked to their sport and social justice program about how the influence of sport in your life and what that means, and how to take that to change your community. So this presentation, which I will be shaping to Brandon Turner, who is one of my students, and in the coach education department. He's now the chair for the Black Coaches Committee through United Soccer Coaches, and I'm really interested in touching base with him on what is his idea and his path going into this upcoming year. And if you can hear that in the background, that's my two puppies who are playing with one another. They're just becoming friends. And I think they will slow down in a second. So that's really setting the stage here. I'm interested to talk with Brandon and what he has on the docket for his chair community and his community, as it crosses over with a lot of things that I'm doing here in Sacramento. But also want to hear what he's doing. He's from New York City, runs a indoor sports complex and a whole bunch of coaches. And then I linked with him to do an intensive one-on-one in learning about him and how to help him be a better educator. So he's in the waiting room right now, so I'm going to let him in and pretend that we didn't talk.
Here I am, Greg.
There you go. There's Brandon. Hey, just so you know, I already started recording.
Okay. Yeah, I heard a little bit.
What's that?
I heard a little bit of the intro.
Oh, you did? You were able to hear
Yeah,
that stuff?
towards the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you kind of came in as I was flowing in.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So, again, for those, we'll get this party started.
Yeah, so I had the pleasure to be taught by you with our U.S. soccer coaching education course as a student. So we built a relationship through there, and sorry, I heard a little feedback, so
Yeah,
I'm
it
here.
kind of echoes if for some reason on your end, they clean it up on the back end. So
Okay.
yeah. So don't worry. You might get some feedback. It's weird. Maybe it's because
Yeah,
I'm in
so
the past and you're in the future. Since you're in New York and I'm in California, you're in the future. So
so let me catch up to speed. So, so we met through our U.S. Soccer Coaching Education course. It was a fantastic experience for me to really start that journey of coaching education with adults and coaches and really focusing in on it more. Though I've been starting to do it through Chelsea Piers, I really thought the course helped me shape a lot of ideas and a lot of ways to help grow coaches along the way and then start the licensing program.
perfect. Yeah, you're like a younger, better looking, taller version of me. So that's good. So it's Chelsea Piers, as in like Pier 39, correct? Not Pierce.
Yeah, so it is Chelsea Piers. There's a couple piers down there. There's Pier 62 is where we're at. So it goes from Pier 62 to Pier 59. That's Chelsea Piers in Manhattan. We have three locations, one in Connecticut, and then I manage the one in Brooklyn. The Brooklyn one is the newest one. It's different setup, but similar format,
Hmm.
where the Piers is kind of more open, is towards the public. You can come in. The Brooklyn facility is underneath a high rise. So we're in a basement, two
Okay.
soccer fields, and
And then,
then
th-
gymnastics and pool.
yeah, remind me, it's the Knicks that are in Brooklyn, right?
Nets.
I was kidding, dude. I was kidding. I know where Madison Square Garden is. I've been there, but nobody's ever invited me to Brooklyn, dude. So
Hey,
I'm
listen,
inviting
you were
myself
invited when
to.
we were doing our course. You were supposed to take
I
the
know.
trip out.
I reneged on that. So I'm coming to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn, watch out.
Let's
Okay,
go.
wherever you are, girl, I'm coming for you. Uh, okay, and then so top three
Yes.
things in Brooklyn that for those who haven't been, like, hey, you got to see this, and it's not like the touristy things, but like the spots outside of Brooklyn Piers and the soccer, system that you run. What are the things that are can't misses? Because I know there's a big hip hop vibe through the city, or through the part of the city. So like, what are like? I love culture, and I want to know the people. So three spots, because we could probably talk forever if you name more than that.
Yeah, I would say BAM, so Brooklyn Arts Museum.
Okay.
That's a go-to spot where you
Why?
can get culture. So they got the everything from movies up into museum exhibits, and then they host like all the culture there.
Yeah.
There's been Jay-Z had an exhibit there, Spike Lee, all of that. The Spike
Nice.
Lee, you could go to Spike Lee's spot, Spike Lee joint. Yeah,
Who's
he's
Spike
he's
Lee?
over in Brooklyn as well by Fort Greene.
Who's Spike Lee? Is that like
Who is Spike Lee?
yeah? Was it is that the guy who
He
does the
he's
comic
a
books? Oh no, that's
movie
Stanley.
producer.
I know. I'm kidding, dude. I'm kidding. So cool. Yeah, I'm a big Spike Lee fan. Some excellent movies of the '80s and '90s from that guy, and probably contemporary
Yeah.
stuff. I don't pay attention anymore. So I got Bam. What else? Give me a taster. I'm coming to Brooklyn. I'm gonna see you and your Chelsea peers. What else do I have to see?
You could more relaxing by Fort Greene Park.
What is it?
That's a Fort Greene Park.
Fort Greene Park. Okay,
Yeah, so we got two parks really that is Prospect Park and
okay,
Fort Greene Park.
nice.
So those are the two parks you can go visit, walk around, have a nice little enjoyable
Okay.
day in the spring. And
How's the
then
nightlife in Brooklyn? Like you're talking about daytime stuff. Does everything shut down at 8 p.m. or like
no,
could I get
we're
into
going
night trouble?
to Night Trouble from 12 p.m. the next morning. So you could go anywhere. Brooklyn Bowl, that's a
So it's a
nice
bowling
spot.
alley?
It's a bowling alley turns into a
Ooh,
nightclub.
okay. So yeah, so we'll kind of pin that right there. So when I was a kid, we traveled all over, and one of the things that we did is we did bowl-a-thons to raise
All
money
right.
for traveling. And we would
Okay.
have it was always funny because it was the great equalizer. So like the best players were the worst bowlers. And you'd either get like a flat donation or a point per pin. And so I remember that I did that as a coach, when I started looking at fundraising, but we did it when we were young, and it was always no bumpers. Like you get what you get,
Mhm.
find the right ball, don't pick a heavy
Don't get
ball,
upset.
you know, watch the line, and you get double points if you roll with your offhand. So like a lot of people would try bowling with their weaker hand, which was really fun to watch because a lot of gutter balls, but at least it's young kids trying to figure something out. So I can bowl either handed. It has to be a lighter ball with my right hand because I just can't hold it proper. Like I can't hold the heaviness, but I can whip a ball either one. So I taught myself to throw left-handed, kick right-footed because I'm right. I throw right-handed and kick left-footed, but I write left-handed. So that's a little something about me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea too.
Yeah.
Because we have access to the bowling alleys by the piers.
Oh, okay. All right. Say less. So I called Brandon just to check in. He is now the chair of the Black coaches community in United Soccer Coaches. I work in Sacramento with a program called Mutual Assistance Network, which is linked with a project called Black Child Legacy, and the courts that I use were funded by Black Players for Change. So I wanted to kind of, that I saw him at the convention and wanted to kind of get an update on what they're doing. Because as I'm going through the things that I'm doing, I like to work with, impoverished, underserved communities. I was, I grew up in a Latino-based community playing soccer, being a, European descent, but my parents lived and traveled all over the world. So, I was pretty comfortable in, different types of settings. And so I'm just looking here at your update, and something really sticks out with me is on Juneteenth, you have a cup in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna see if this is possible. Juneteenth is also when the U.S. plays in Seattle. So I'm either going to be given tickets for that game because it's one of the games I don't have that the U.S. play in, or I'm coming to New York because my wife's birthday is Juneteenth. So if I could do something for my wife and I say, hey, I'm throwing a soccer tournament for you, babe, in Brooklyn, she might go crazy. She might go crazy. And maybe I'll take her to like Fifth Avenue and say, you can buy one thing and here's your budget, and see what she comes up with.
Saks Fifth Avenue.
She's so anybody who has a store on Fifth Ave, Saks Fifth Ave, I'm looking for a sponsor. Do you sell anything for like $100? That's my budget. So give me a gift card. Yeah, and I'm not afraid of a credit line. So if you want to give me a really big credit line, I'll buy some swag too. So I gave this lecture to Cal State East Bay. I was born in Oakland. Cal State East Bay, for those who don't know, used to be called Hayward State. It's in Hayward, California. It is on top of the Oakland Hills and sees the entire bay. Really beautiful campus. It's where the Cyber Rays played. The Oakland Roots played there until they moved into the Coliseum. Really, really, really impressive university. However, it's in Hayward, and Hayward is not necessarily the place like Stanford, Berkeley, Davis, UCLA, that kind of environment. So, it kind of gets looked over. It's a commuter school, but the students that go there are really social warriors. And so I got to talk with a small group of about 10 who were looking at project-based work for their local communities. And then another group that really was just, more entrepreneurial, and they wanted ideas and how do you work with the community infrastructure with an urban community infrastructure. So this Sport for Social Change is really focused on urban habitats. How to get kids active and engaged in really high density populations and very little field resources. I've started 3 futsal clubs. I run another one in Sacramento right now, using the current infrastructure. If it's concrete and the ball can roll and your foot doesn't fall into a chasm, right? Or, it's just cracked but not, dangerous, you can play on it. So I would call myself a city kid. I don't mind the country, but I like to be around people and see life moving in that way. So this is a slide deck. I have a social media director, Jordan Jackman, who helped me put this personal brand presentation together. I added in some pictures, so I'm going to go through this quick. I don't know how much time Brandon has. He's a busy guy trying to change the world. So I'll kind of, go until, how much time do you have? It's 11 a.m. your time.
Yeah, I have about to 11:30. It's good.
Okay, so 30 minutes, no problem. We'll be done in 20, and then you can ask questions. So here's, starting out here, these the pictures I have of a beach, right, of traveling. So that old Forrest Gump run shore to shore type of idea. And then the urban lifestyle where everybody's always moving. When I lived in LA, I called it the 2 minute drill, that you were talking to somebody, they were already looking for somebody more important. And so it was, that hectic life. I'm Brandon in Brooklyn. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm in
Yeah.
downtown Sacramento. I can tell you everybody's angry because they're trying to get somewhere else. Um, and let's see here. Okay. That worked? Did it change it?
Yep. What do I see?
Yeah, I'm split. Yeah, split screen. So what do you see there?
See some atoms, NASA, space,
Yeah. So
content.
growing up, and from an educational standpoint, my degree is in biology, chemistry, physics. It's a bachelor's in natural sciences. So when I was a kid, I did a lot of looking at nature, understanding how the world works in a natural way, but also all the way down, to the smallest thing in life, and then all the way to an expanding universe. And because I grew up Catholic, I wasn't just one to believe that, blindly that there's a guy in the sky, manipulating the things, because it just didn't make sense to me. Because what I saw, was all beautiful, but the way people acted did not fall in line with that, you know, puppet master mentality, in my opinion. So I studied, physics. My master's is in biomechanics, so the physics of sport. And now I'm trying to schedule my PhD dissertation in applied kinesiology. And so for anybody who knows what that is, good for you. For everybody who doesn't know that, just look it up. So what is kinesiology and what is applied kinesiology? So good luck, and you can follow me on Twitter, and then you can learn all about it. Just kidding, I don't have Twitter. It doesn't exist anymore. So this slide is something I made a couple years ago in doing the coaching courses, and really this is right after the pandemic. So you'll notice kind of who I am and what I do. The podcast that I had been on up to that point. Born in Oakland, so I have Oakland roots. This was before the Oakland Soul came on board. So anybody who doesn't know, Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul, men's and women's teams in Oakland. My buddy Jordan Farrell was the technical director there until just recently. But I know, the Oakland heart, right? They have Oaklandish, right? So I don't know. It's a storefront there. So it's kind of got this vibe of Oakland's a special breed. I was head coach of a high school there, Bishop O'Dowd, which is a Jesuit high school. I went to LMU, which is a Jesuit college. So a lot of crossover there. And for those who don't know, the Jesuits are the order of the keepers of knowledge of the Catholic Church. So they're the ones who have the keys that open up all the deep, dark secrets, but also like the true path. So it's an interesting one in that way. And really just focusing on, what it is to be a coach, what kind of impact you're going to have. My wife is there in the bottom right corner. Her name is Victoria, and I always tell people she's my sweetest victory. And then on the left-hand side is me dressing up for Halloween during the pandemic. I made my own Coach Beard outfit. And so I got stickers. So those are stickers. That's a hat. All the stuff was purchased at Walmart because I'm in the Kmart School of Arts and Crafts. So everything cheap and make it yourself, DIY. But I pinged him on Twitter or something like that and said, "Hey, look at my thing." And he's like, "Oh, cool." And then I was like, "What's Coach Beard's first name?" He's like, "You'll never know." And I think in the last episode they tell it, but I don't even. It's like Charmaine or some odd name for that. But anyway, so this is a little bit about me, and I have when I do the students, I have them do a visual slide deck, and the purpose of this is I can extrapolate a lot from an individual by the pictures and the things that mean the most to them. So I give them an example of what I do, but I mean we're all a very complex mosaic of things. And so, in this season, as I think I was mentioning to you, this is origins, right? So if you're looking at who is Greg as an educator with and for U.S. Soccer, this is who my face is and the brands that I've been a part of, but the things of why I do what I do, right? So we go into the next one, and this is just kind of like, who am I? My mission to creating culture and develop an infrastructure specifically tailored towards grassroots youth movements. Most of the people I interact with want to be professional coaches, and I always ask them, what does professional mean to you? For me, I'm a professional youth developer. And I tell people, cradle to grave, when kids start kicking in the womb, that's when that's when I know they're ready for me to start stepping in. And so looking at the Ikigai, which is, the crossover, everything, I learned about that just recently. And then below is the trees of life. So different iterations of what the tree of life is. And if you see the Oakland roots, that's part of the mentality of the East Bay as we go through. Right? The basic mission, I kept this one black and white because I wanted to, not pretty it up. I wanted it to be really impactful and almost plain. Culture development, infrastructure growth, and collaboration. And, Brandon is part of the Black Coaches Committee. I belong to all 10 committees because I want to know what people want to do so that I can help. Because in 30 plus years of coaching, educating, running trainings, working with people, as well as, living a fan lifestyle and a player lifestyle since I was 5. There's things that you like that I like. There's things that you do that I may or may not agree with, but I also have to be inquisitive and say, hey, why do you do that? And is it because you don't know a better way, or it's because of your experience, or because of your environment? I think it's important that we know and understand that, right? Basic foundation, where I went. During the pandemic, I got a CTE credential in sports science, so I can teach high school vocational sports science. I never completed that, so it's pending. I got to do a couple of, one last course or something, but it was more to learn how the professional career development landscape looks like for high school kids, so that for those who are ready can go jump directly into the workforce versus going and paying for their university or college or anything like that, because university has become so expensive. People can do what I did, which is take 25 years to pay off student loan debt, or they can just jump into their career because they can find the knowledge they need. And it always reminds me of Good Will Hunting, where, he's the janitor and he's, or Einstein, who was the patent clerk, right? They're like, you paid for all this stuff, but yet you know nothing of it. You know the book, but you don't know how it applies. So that's really, where I am. And, a big leader, John Wooden. So anybody doesn't know the Wooden Pyramid, look at this. It's very, very impactful. Probably one of the best coach leaders of existence. And a lot of people have pulled from him. He was at UCLA. And then the picture above is Al Gore and Bill Clinton opening the internet at my high school. So I went to Ignacio Valley in Concord, the school behind De La Salle and Carondelet. So if you know anything about sport in America, De La Salle, you've heard of them. When They Stand Tall is the movie about the coach, Pablo de Sur. But they opened the internet at my high school in 1990, let me call it 1996. So that's a picture from a newspaper article I got, right? So it was interesting to put early career, men's club soccer. The glyphs on the right, or the pictures, are from my later career, but really those were the things that when I was younger I wanted to do. So opening up a sports specific school that was looking at education, work in some professional or semi-professional tiers, try and get a national landscape for the college club system, so something that sits underneath NCAA. And then I moved up from the Bay Area to Sacramento to work with the Republic. So all these things were they were aspirations and ended up being things that came to fruition over a long time and a lot of hard work. So my professional growth era, so this is very Taylor Swift. So I've got these eras. This is after grad school, right before 2012, where anybody who's seen the movie The World Falls Apart. I think in the Mayans, it was where the end of the world was supposed to occur, or something like that. But I ended up winning 3 championships in a 6 week span. So a U10 State Cup title, a U12 State Cup title, and a high school CIF title in 6 weeks. And it was, to be honest, way too much success in a little time, because it's very hard to go to that top of that many mountains and be able to do it again. And I put there, this is that Giants 2010. It's a poem that I wrote about the David versus Goliath run for the Giants when they won their first World Series. And I went to the celebration in San Francisco. I canceled the PE classes that I was teaching, and I gave them an assignment. And the assignment was to write, draw, sing, whatever, based on one of these 3 concepts. We are all small men standing on the shoulders of giants. What is the story of David and Goliath? Tell me about some sport and activity you love. Or there was a fourth one. What was it? Like what the Giants mean to me. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so I came back after going to the parade the next day, and I had these fantastic submissions from kids, kindergarten through 8th grade. So I took the best of them, I put them in a portfolio, and I sold it at our auction. And I think it went for like $500, and it was kids art. And I've never seen the completed book since I submitted it. I didn't go to the event. I have no idea who bought it. So if anybody out there knows who has this book, I'd love to see it again. But this Giants 2010 poem is what I wrote. It is framed on my wall. So this is actually a picture from my wall, and kind of interesting. The reason I say that is I was at this church and this school that when I went in 1989, I was getting out of catechism, jumping on my bike to go watch the A's versus the Giants World Series. And that's when the 1989 earthquake hit. And I looked back, I had my bike, I looked back at my brother, and the tree behind him was slapping the ground. We went into the car park, the parking lot, and the concrete was rippling. It was undulating, and it was just wild. And so obviously it's a seminal moment in Bay Area history, 7.1, I think it was, earthquake. We're still waiting for quote unquote the big one, but not sure what that looks like. Hopefully it doesn't reach all the way to Sacramento. But that was where I was in the earthquake. And so when the Giants won, it reminded me of when I was 10 years old, and that piece of square concrete in the courtyard was where that tree was. I could bring the kids out and said, there was a tree right there. That's where I was when this thing happened, when I was 10. So I'm not going to teach you about PE. I'm going to go celebrate this moment. And, it's a big moment. The Giants were massive underdogs, and they came up and they won. And I think that's celebrate the best of life and things like that. So that's, this professional growth piece. Obviously, this is that window where you're starting to figure out your professional life. And when I was PE teacher, I was also a personal trainer, a private trainer. I was coaching club soccer, and whatever else I was doing. So I have always had about 4 or 5 jobs at any given time, because I'm high functioning and really active, and I don't do well with dead time. My brain wanders, and I get myself into not the best situations. So then we go into now this next area that's kind of crossover, where I'm starting to get more advanced certifications. So I every year, and as fast as possible, I would go through the coach education ladder. So I started with the NSCAA and courses, and then I did the Cal North CYSA USYS courses, but did D's, did my C license in, oh gosh, where was I? Where did I have my C? I don't even remember. That's never good. No, I did my C license at Stanford. I did my B license at Casa Grande, and then I did my A license in Vero Beach, Florida. I got my DOC license, which was primarily online, no in person. And so with all of this stuff, I got a master course in the ACF Fiorentina methodology, which is a science-based development philosophy. Went to Florence, taught in their youth academy, had a great time. And so I just kind of, tried to get to the top of education. I invested all my money in education, nothing in travel, and nothing in like what would you call saving it for a rainy day, buying property. I just wanted to move. So that's kind of how I kind of went through my life. Then I went through my leadership era. I'll kind of skip over this because, blah, blah, blah. I was moved from the Bay to be a boys director up at Elk Grove. Super diverse community, 102 different languages they translate into, third biggest school district in the nation. And I didn't even know it was a city when I came up here. Like I had only heard of Elk Grove, Everton from the Bay, and that they were aligned with Everton in some capacity. That's all I really knew of it. And then, current excellence. This is, again, a little bit outdated, but, surviving through the pandemic, we thrived. We did a robust online educational modality. And while the pandemic was my favorite year in terms of work and life balance, I was able to do a lot of things with my family. I was able to go, camping and be relaxed. It was also the worst time. My mom passed away 2021 on Valentine's Day. So tomorrow is her 5-year death day. This a lot of what I talk about this first season is just where I come from. And I'll be doing another podcast tomorrow from where we spread her ashes and where my parents went for their honeymoon. So this was the place that my dad had selected. So I'm going to go do that after doing a fun run in the morning. And really, I pushed myself. Northern California is extremely progressive and innovative, but it lacks in some cases some forward-thinking leadership. So I had to kind of bully my way into becoming an educator. There was no recommendation for me because there was really nobody who was pushing it. It was me saying, okay, how do I get up this ladder? This is something I want to do. I envisioned myself to be a leader in grassroots education nationwide. I wanted to help people who were like me. I started coaching a rec team, U5 girls, with my little sister and my mom. And, they help build and develop clubs. So I really wanted to service that because that inspired me to become who I later would be. And then, looking at the expertise and impact, experience, certifications, players developed, blah, blah, blah. I mean, summer camps. I did soccer summer camps from 1995 until about 2002, 2001. That was my summer job. So I would do 8 weeks of camps, and a lot of the people I work with are in really high club-based positions now, and we had a great time. A lot of worldly experience that came out of that. And so, these are just kind of some different ideas on that end. So this was the slide deck that I put together, and then the last one, as March approaches, I'm calling it March Madness. I've created and developed some LLCs that are going to be all launching. I'm going to launch all of them simultaneously. So it's it's the armada is leaving the harbor all at once. But over 30 years, I've set dominoes, and I'm just going to kick all of them at once. And some are really developed and ready to go very, very quickly, and some are going to take a little bit more time. But people have always said, Greg, focus on one thing, and I can tell you with all sincerity, the one thing I have always focused on is trying to make this a better world for children and for us living and navigating in a complex ecosystem. And so when you say one thing, like you're talking about little details, like one job. Like my job is to influence as many people as positively as possible while probably making a whole bunch of mistakes along the way, right? That's my goal. So, I'm unfocused because I'm active in a lot of different tiers of sport, of youth development, of education, of politicking. I mean, that's really, if I learned anything as a director and running clubs and things like that, is that politicking, being able to listen to a person and understand their interests and try and meet them somewhere is really, really important. It's a very important skill that initial coaches are not good. The joke is that, the best soccer club is an orphanage because you don't have to deal with parents. And I disagree. I think parents are your greatest allies, but you also have to find out what their definition of love for their child is and then shape that. So, now I spend most of the time in community education and parental education, because if no matter what I do with a player, if it's not wholly supported from the infrastructure, if you will, or from their support group, then the kids are gonna hit frustration. They're gonna quit. They're not gonna reach their full potential in the things that they value. And I meet a lot of parents who live through their children as a redo, and try and give them, like, in 1987, this is what we did. It's 2026, right? And as parents, for those out there, I want you to think about, what do you see the world looking like in 2040? Tell me what you think it looks like, because that's what you're preparing your kids for when they're 5, 6, and 7, not for what's happening today. And by the way, life is happening too fast, parents. Like, we're approaching, if not already there, in singularity. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. AI can be leveraged to get a lot of knowledge very, very quickly, but it's also very dangerous, because the way life is, there's algorithms to it. So you go down a wormhole and you don't realize that you have to go back up the wormhole to understand the other parts. So it's like the circulatory system in the heart. So people are going through a circulatory system, not understanding they have to return to the source. So that's where there's a massive, in my opinion, comeback to a spirituality within people, and they ascribe it to whatever, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, whatever it is. Like, you need a source to derive from. And since I took religions of the world and what is faith in Jesus Christ, I understand what we were trying to learn as Catholics, but then also what other people do. And the crossover is love is the way. Everybody does stuff for love and in relation to hate. And you can understand that in 1,000 different ways. I don't know what it means to you, but I know that the pursuit of love and happiness is really what people are on. And the things I say are things that history has already said and echoed. And sometimes when you get up on a Monday morning, you don't feel like that. So you have to remind me and have those daily affirmations and reflect on your processes. So I've got 5 minutes because Brandon said he's got to go, and I want to value his time. He's a game changer. So I'm trying to, where is it? He sent me an email. Where did he send it? Because I want to address. Where did you send that email to?
Yeah, GNR dot coaching.
Coaching. The one where I get everything in. Perfect. Well, I saw it and then I don't see it. So, yeah. So I mean, hey, real quick, because we'll follow up with you, Brandon. But I asked you, I think it was via text. That's what it was. Nope. So
I just resent it. So
yeah, don't even worry about it. But top 3 initiatives that you have. You're just now the Black Committee Chair. 3 initiatives for 2026, the World Cup. Outside of the Brooklyn Cup on Juneteenth, which is a phenomenal idea, right? I'll be in New York City if I'm not, singing the national anthem in Seattle for the U.S. But what do you got?
Yeah, so first is building out a strong team and really getting that sorted and Like,
What makes an ideal team member for your guys' mission, in your opinion?
one, good character, right? Really wanting to support the community, um, being able to volunteer and assist, and
So when you talk about the black community, is it urban, rural, suburban? Like who you're really talking to, or is it all of them?
it has to be essentially all of them.
Uh-huh.
It's very widespread between the United States, so that's where it's tough, and it's great that you being in California could be able to connect me with people from California,
Yeah.
and
And
essentially that I don't have that right off. Yeah, there's some people in there, but it does run heavy in like the Northeast.
yeah, and I would
The people are,
say, in my opinion, especially in the black community nationally, there's more desire to play other sports than soccer, but then you have guys like Giannis at the Timberwolves, or Kobe, who grew up in Italy. Guys who can't. When you're 6'7", soccer isn't necessarily going to be your sport. But in like the Midwest, where football is American football is king, there's kids from smaller rural type of areas that soccer isn't as known, right? And I interviewed my first coach, and he picked up soccer because he saw a kid named, let's call him Diego, I can't remember his name, juggling a soccer ball at recess, and he said, "Man, that's so cool! I want to do that." And so he learned how to juggle, and that's how he got That's how he got hooked. His family was a baseball family, so for those parents out there, it's like get them involved in all activities, and you'll see where they go. Right? Jamaica, it has a bobsled team. I think are they competing in the bobsled, aren't they? Like
yeah,
it was what is it? Cool Runnings was the funny movie, but
we're
I think
running.
they do have a bobsled team right now, don't they? I thought I read that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
crazy.
they're competing.
There's not a lot of snow in Jamaica, in case anybody has been there. Not a lot of snow. So okay, build your team. All right. Well, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna get you your West Coast allies. I'll be an ally. I'm not black, but I'm a black sheep. So does that count?
Allies are welcome.
Cool.
That's one thing about me. I don't hesitate to bring other people from communities that really want to help out for the right reasons,
Mhm.
and grow. So
All right.
that's one thing I'm all for.
Okay. Build your team out. Okay. Now you got your optimal team. Where do we go from here?
Yes. So with the Juneteenth, I'm just pulling it up again as well.
And by the way, for those who are out there, I called Brandon this morning just to see what he was up to, and then I said we're jumping on a podcast. So if he looks like he's scrambling, it's because I said you and I got to talk about this because he was asking about my presentation. So, all right, tell us about
Yeah.
Juneteenth.
So the second is, well, Juneteenth Cup is one of that's what we're looking to host in New York, with a local club called Progressive Youth Soccer Club. It's going to host it. You mentioned Jamaica. He's actually connected with the youth Jamaican national team,
Hmm.
and going to bring them over, U16, U17 team, for the Juneteenth Cup,
Yeah,
and then we're
I
going to build teams around there.
I just have to put it out there. I met Roger Mila's daughter at one of the conventions, and the Cameroonian women's committee came over and was presenting, and I was down in the like a social area, and one of these ladies was wearing this beautiful ornate dress. I was like, I saw your production, love what you're doing. Like, and I was like, who are you? She's like, oh, Cameroonian. And I was like, the only thing I know about Cameroon is Roger Mila scoring against Argentina and the little dance. And she was like, uh, that is my father. I was like, you gotta get out of here. No, really. I think she was like a runner and tennis player or something like that. and got in an accident, like a car accident, wasn't able to complete her competition. So shout out to Roger Mila and his family and his daughter, whose name I totally forget. But yeah, I think that I think when you talk about what makes America great, it's stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
you can go, I can go to a lot of places and meet a lot of people, but America has these people who just want to be here for whatever reason, and they may come in and out, but God, I love traveling. Anyway, all right. So Jamaica, who else?
Yeah. So second, I would say mentorship program remodel.
Hmm.
So right now we have Kai Edwards. He's leading it.
Yeah.
Out in Utah,
Oh, I know Kai well.
and
He's Sonoma State. He's a homie. I'll
yeah,
give him a call right now. Be like, Kai, get your stuff together, man.
yeah. So he's doing it very informally.
Yeah.
So it was like I told him, hey, link me up with someone. I don't want to
Let
like
me
kind of
let me help
back.
and create a formal process for you guys. Like
Yes,
I
because it
already have
was
the
just like
templates. Yeah.
it was like two emails. I didn't even know the guy's name or person's name, and it was like link up, you guys connect, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Well,
look,
when you
the
find
guy
it, send me that name because I may or may not know him. But I know there's a guy in the Midwest, Mario Felix, who's
Felix. Yep,
also,
yep.
yeah. So he I could get I can find people who can help out in that.
Yeah,
So,
Mario is part of the team as well. He's not on there now, but he used to be the chair, as one of the vice chairs.
oh, nice. All right. So third thing, let's think post 2026, your 2036 project. So a 10-year project. You're like, hey, this is the legacy that we're leaving. What is it? What's that project look like? The big hairy one that everybody says you're crazy for even thinking that way.
That's great. So that's something I would have
And
to
then no,
really
and
dive in.
I'm
I,
saying this is the Brandon Turner thing. So not that like you took this job like in 2036. You're not going to be the chair that then. What is like who? What do I see for black soccer players, the community globally in America? Like, why did you hold your hand up and say I'll be the chair? Like, what are you trying to get to? And then how can we help?
yeah, so there's a lot that I could have in mind just spitballing. So really leaving a legacy in that coaching education space where it's going from growing youth coach players into coaches, bringing that coaching education across to Africa as well and to the Caribbeans, and all, being part of that process.
Don't forget South America. Don't
Yeah,
forget that's
wherever.
huge. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
everywhere, Middle East,
everywhere.
Asia,
And then
uh, and
sponsorship. I mean, not
and I would
sponsorship. ID clinics.
yeah. So I would say one of the things within that is just sport education. What I see is
Hmm.
that the Americanization of the sport education is very poor in underserved communities, right? So
Hmm.
soccer is really progressive in its educational overview, but there are not a lot of individuals in primarily black communities who are willing to step up to volunteer to coach and because they have a different sporting background. There's just not a lot. Same in the women's space. So it seems like people volunteer up until about 7 or 8 years old, and then they expect somebody to be really good to take keys of the van and drive the kids forward again, and that's not really true. Sport is like 85-90% crossover with 10-15% sport specific differential skills. So I would say, not just coach education, it's more community and parent education that you want to roll into as well, because just soccer education and the formal licensing pathways do not tell the whole story. And I can't tell you how to run Chelsea Piers, but if you explain it to me enough, I can give you ideas that might make your job more impactful and better for the players and the kids and the families that run through it. Only just suggestions, like take it what it is. So I think
Yeah,
that in
I
in that
think
coach
that
education, that's a huge piece that I think I don't want to say we get wrong, but it should be the emphasis and not like how I get a pay bump, which is how I see a lot of people come through the process. They're looking about making more money, not, how do I impact differently?
no, I love that, and I think that is really something I've been seeing as well. Where even when was it Wednesday? I had a parents meeting for my 6 and 7 year old group.
Mhm.
Some of them are like as you mentioned right now. Some of them are parent coaches. We have in the facility ASO, so I see parent coaches. We have a competitive league, so I see the competitive coaches. Right, there is that change into more professional coach from that age, but the whole sense of the environment
Yeah. I
doesn't is not always great.
Yeah, I would say that the competitive mentality and the recreational mentality, like it's just rec. I think you have to, if you say that, wash that from your mouth, right?
Hmm.
It's about fun. It is always about fun and learning, always. Now, what level and what experience you have, that maybe changes, but a paid professional coach has the experience, licensing, whatever, where you're like, hey, I'll pay for this service. I do not see them as more valuable than the community-based grassroots individual guiding the child in their early years. And there's a relationship that I think, and this is why I dropped out of the sports space. I mean, I looked at it. Soccer was first to market, but this is what we're doing is going on in every sport. Kids are stressed out, parents are stressed out, budgets are tapped out,
Hmm.
and it doesn't make sense to me because at the end of the day, you want to be the best on your yard. And is your yard, a little square or a stoop in Brooklyn? Or is it, Yankee Stadium? Or is it the Sahara Desert? Or is it the continent of South America? Like, what is your playground? What is your platform? Because to get to the top, you first have to master the stoop. And you don't get anything more than that until you earn it. And I think in general, parents are trying to buy their way to the top or push their way to the top when I could 100% tell you, you need to climb and then slide and then crawl and then fly and then fall to the top. It's a windy road. And there's no like true success because the variables are constantly changing and evolving. And so when you have an incubator like you have, there's almost like you see it in cities a lot. Like the wrong side of the tracks is a statement. There's a line of demarcation where things just change. It goes from Coke to Pepsi, yin to yang. And like in Sacramento, I know there's a block on K Street where there was a mass shooting out front of a club. Got a fight. I think it was like 7 or 8 people shot. One of the people shot was linked to my wife's school, right? Is one of them. They were just out having a good time and just wrong place, wrong time. That part of the street is Skid Row. And then you'll cross one street that's closer to the King's Arena and everything changes. And it's like, I mean, you could feel the ghosts and then all of a sudden you feel like freedom. And it's really weird to walk that street when it's empty. And I rarely see it filled because I don't go down there very much. But it is a line, you can see it like it's like you can feel ghosts there. Nobody wants to go there because of such horrific memories. And then all of a sudden it turns into the Doco, the downtown commons, and business is thriving, and it's just like it's crazy. And I think that happens in our facilities. Like you'll see, like there's a total separation, and you are the link between it. And so I
So
empower you. I'm telling you, your job is to link those two and to show them the colors of the rainbow, the from pure ivory white all the way to the darkest black, that spectrum, that's your job. And you're finding and placing people within that spectrum that really know and understand that color, whatever that color is. Light, dark, whatever. There you go. So hey, you got a small task to do. Chelsea Piers. Good luck, Brandon. Probably you're gonna need some advice.
With that being said, it sparked the idea of the infrastructure. So, lasting like big thing that I would want to push for is also building infrastructure, and that I know is tricky.
So, I'm gonna give you an assignment, and we're gonna end it here. Okay? Do you know who Rudyard Kipling is?
Red year.
Rudyard. So RUD. YARD. Kipling is KIPLING. Okay. Jungle Book. Do you know that? You know that story, that movie, Disney, The Jungle Book. You remember it? It's like from the 80s. It's a Disney cartoon.
Yeah, little kid runs around with the monkeys
So Rudyard Kipling was a British imperialist in India, and from what I understand, extremely racist. But that was the time, right? But he wrote a poem called "If," and what I want you to do is I want you to read that poem, and then from that, try and figure out what it means to you, because I know what it means to me. And you give me a call, and we'll talk about that poem and what it means, because it directly links to what you're talking about. So unfortunately, everybody out there, even racist people can do good things, but we have to pick and choose. We can't just celebrate the good. We have to also acknowledge the bad, and fight for things that are not right. A justice warrior. Right, so we're the Justice League, Brandon.
Love that.
You're Iron Man. You're Iron Man. Who's your character in the Justice League?
Is the Black Panther part of it?
Sure.
I don't know if he's part of it.
I don't know. I don't know enough about that stuff. But you know what? You be Black Panther. R.I.P. What was the guy's name? The guy he passed away.
Yeah, Chadwick.
Yeah. So R.I.P. to him, because that's brutal. So you're Black Panther. I'll be Iron Man, because that's the only one I think I know from the Justice League. But I might even be wrong. That might be a whole nother Marvel or something. But I'll look it up. I'll be some type of superhero. All right.
Awesome.
But all right, Brandon,
All right,
it's an hour long. I told you we were only going to talk for 30 minutes. I told you I could go for 37 years. So
hey, I appreciate this conversation.
Hey, this conversation is recorded, and you can go back and say, hey, this was the moment that Greg said we're gonna go sit in the box seats with Jay-Z and Beyonce and KRS-One for the World Cup final in New York, and I'm making it happen. I'm putting it out in the universe. I already said it before, but now I'm immortalizing it. Jay-Z, come on, the guy's from Brooklyn, bro. The Nets. He even knows that the Nets play there. Why do you think I said the Knicks? But Spike Lee's a Knicks guy. So I'll sit in Spike's box too. If Spike's there, I'll sit in his box too. But wouldn't it be cool to have all of them, and then you and me being like, I'm surrounded by legends. How amazing.
Legendary. That's legacy right there.
Legacy, baby. Black Child legacy. Go make some change. All right,
Let's
take
do
care,
it.
Brandon.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Have a great day.